For me, the PS is just a mnemonic for some of the steps that I want to walk you through. And those include the problem statements, so what you're trying to solve. Of course, your solution, so how you solved it. If you're able to, definitely publishing the sources to help other folks out. Sometimes what a lot of folks don't appreciate or don't like, which is the peer screening, having someone give you direct feedback. And then finally, to start, to please start. So the writing for humans is just to kind of remind us all as engineers and sometimes very hardcore techies that we are doing this for other people. And sometimes we need to step back both from the problem and from our solution and try to imagine ourselves in someone else's shoes in order to be able to explain it even better. So it's a fairly short presentation. I think within 20, 25 minutes, we should be done. It just gives us more time for questions and answers. Okay, so let's jump into the problem statement. For at least for myself, and I think a lot of other people, folks generally search the web looking for solutions to their problems. And being able to write about a particular problem that you had definitely checks quite a few boxes. So you have the self-learning, the self-reinforcement from explaining it to others, how you solve the particular problem. You have a sense of accomplishment because you are helping people. It's excellent to get questions back, to get some more feedback on what you've written, and simply helping other folks out. For me, this probably started, or at least the main hook, I would say for myself, started back in 2014. I was working for a fashion aggregation company. We had basically, I mean, as the kind of the search indicates, millions of products from Amazon, from Zalando, and we kind of hosted all of these products on our site. And we had a challenge, and that was that the Engine X was basically performing a lot of these rewrites from a text file. And the issue was that I think we had, at least when I was introduced to this issue, close to about 500,000 rewrites. And every time we made a deployment or wanted to update the Nginx configuration, the reload of this entailed reaching out to that text file with all of the rewrites and reloading those. So what should be typically literally a few milliseconds of restarting Nginx was taking up to 2 to 3 seconds because of that text file. And the problem was that we had basically plans in the product to introduce more rewrites and additionally to scale the business and to have more products, which would mean going from 500,000, which was taking a few seconds already of Nginx reload time, to millions of rewrites, which would probably take a half a minute, 1 minute, and this was simply unacceptable from a technical point of view. So in searching the web for this problem, at least back in 2014, I found nothing. And I realized that if I could figure this out in an elegant way, that I could write a blog post, or maybe perhaps that I should write a blog post and share my learnings with other folks. And basically now, to this day, if you go to Google and you search for millions of rewrites with Nginx, you'll see that almost the entire landing page, so page 1 from this Google search, is indeed links to that original article that I wrote back then. So yeah, that's kind of the problem statement. And this, I think, gives as well the initial hook to the reader, right? This is what Tommy was referring to in his presentation last time, that you have that first paragraph where you have the reader and you want to grab their interest, right? And so having an interesting problem is definitely enough to hook a lot of engineers to continue to read further. Okay, so we come to the solution part. This is where a lot of us are maybe a bit shy or not so confident that the solution that we have is the best. As you can see here, actually, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. We're all humans. Yeah, we have funny ways to approach problems, maybe perhaps interesting ways to approach problem solving. So important here is to present the solution, right? Without presenting the solution, then it can come across as unauthentic, right? Or that you yourself were not interested enough in the problem to even attempt a solution, and that's definitely not what we're wanting to do. So just to kind of follow up from my initial problem that I explained with the Nginx rewrites, so I had stumbled upon a solution using Redis and a Lua script, and basically in presenting this solution, I also was able to show the increased performance. So here you see with the Nginx rewrite rules, and this has nothing to do with the reload, but just the actual going to Nginx to figure out, okay, I need to actually send you someplace else. And without the Lua Redis solution, this was taking above 120 millis or 120 milliseconds, and the Lua Redis solution was roughly half of that. And you can also see that with Nginx, there was actually quite a few spikes. And with the Lua Redis, it was much more even. Yeah. And being able to present this in a post is also super helpful, because not only have you explained how you solved it and why you solved it, but you're showing that indeed it was a great benefit, right? To the particular problem that you had. Okay, the next step, which a lot of folks are not so comfortable with, is publishing your sources. For me, I will oftentimes kind of scan a blog post looking for these sources. And this is also oftentimes when I am assigned a review of someone's article, I will basically see that they did not include any source, and basically kind of step out and ask them, hey, do you have some sources behind this that you could share with the reader? Because that's extremely helpful. For myself personally, I don't have any private repositories, so all of my projects online are indeed open source. It's definitely about giving back to the community at large, because we are standing on the shoulders of giants. So it feels good to be able to share back. It also kind of enforces this good habits with secret management, because a lot of us are maybe lazy. You just want to get something out there quick, and lots of times you have passwords or authentication tokens in your source code, and you definitely don't want to be sharing that as open source. So the easiest way to do that is just to have your repository private. If you get into the habit of always publishing your projects and always having them open, then it just becomes second nature to take care of your secrets and not have them in your source code. So yeah, that's something that has helped me both personally as well as professionally. Okay, so now the most uncomfortable topic, that's the peer screening. So where you have to kind of put your ego on the shelf to get hopefully some constructive feedback that ultimately helps the reading experience. I know myself, when I'm writing a blog post, I have definitely a goal that I'm trying to reach, but sometimes I'm too direct in how I approach getting to that goal. And by being too fast or too direct, then I miss some important nuances and some important reasonings that the person doing the peer review is able to say, hey, it would be, or didn't you miss something here? And that's oftentimes very helpful. I know in my role as a technical editor, I do kind of have to reproduce your work. So that means that I will go in with pretty much no source code, no environment that has been set up, and act as a brand new reader that's approaching this topic for the first time. And then based on your instructions, trying to recreate the solution that you had. And sometimes there are difficulties versioning or steps that were maybe so obvious to you that you didn't even note them down. But that person doing the screening, they don't have that luxury of having come up with the problem, come up with the solution, and yeah, gone through it step by step. So I hope that's helpful. That also lets you know to plan a bit ahead for that editing. So if you know that Larissa has asked for you to publish this in 4 weeks, please do try to start, and as soon as possible, let us on the review side into the article so that we can start giving you feedback, because this does take some time. And myself, just working part-time, I don't have a whole lot of time to invest. So it can take me even longer to help you out there. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. The last is please start. So yeah, I mean, I don't need to tell the folks in this call because you already have. But certainly any other problems that you are solving on a daily basis that you might think would be interesting to other readers, definitely do feel free to share. You've already done some blogging, so you know the lay of the land. It's not so scary. It does take time and discipline, but yeah,